Introducing LT Defense Tactical Gear, your ultimate solution for top-notch protection and performance in the field. Our armor bundles provide unmatched safety and comfort, while our battle belts and holsters ensure quick and easy access to your gear. Stay prepared for any situation with our high-quality medical supplies, designed to keep you ready for action at all times. Looking to enhance your skills? Our firearms training programs will take your proficiency to the next level. Trust LT Defense for all your tactical gear needs and gear up for success on the battlefield.
The fact that our patriotism in America is dwindling, I really wanted to start the American AF movement. Freedom is fragile, very fragile. It takes a certain level of intestinal fortitude to stand up and say and do the right thing to preserve the freedoms that so many have paid a large price for.
American Tactical. American as f***.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Welcome to the Motivated Mindset with your host, me, Jose Flores, and we are going to go into the why behind what we do in life. Have you ever wondered what truly drives people? I know I do. What fuels their purpose and motivation? In this podcast, we're going to explore those profound questions, uncovering the stories and insights that shape our journeys. Join me as we navigate in the depths of human ambition and uncover the secrets to living a fulfilled life, purpose, and driven. Let's get motivated. Thank you. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Motivated Mindset. And I am your host, Jose Flores. And let me tell you, today we have an inspiring guest joining us. Her story is one of, let's say, resilience, service, and transformation. And I'm gonna read her bio. And then, so Eva Fulton, she served boots on the ground during Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm, in the United States Army as a paralegal in the Judge Advocate General, which is what we call the JAG Corps. Ms. Fulton served tours in Heilbronn, Germany, Fort Stewart, Georgia, Fort Hood, Texas, and Kaiserslautern, Germany, or Little K. I love that's a great place. Ms. Fulton graduated with her BA and MBA in Business Administration from the Dallas Baptist University in Dallas, Texas. In 2020, Ms. Fulton was a Newark Fellow graduate from the University of San Francisco with a Master's of Arts in Public Leadership and MAPL. Ms. Fulton is studying for her PhD in Public Administration with the National University. Ms. Fulton is a published author of Welcome to My People's Garden. In 2020, she started her international award-winning documentary, From Pain to Purpose. Her second service story, which we're going to delve into and get into that, all about the life challenges of women veterans, post-military, focusing on women veterans' homelessness. Ms. Fulton is a public speaker. Her affiliations include a lifetime member of the Veterans of the Foreign War, a member of the Omega Nu Lambda at the National University, and Eva is the mother of 4 beautiful children. In her free time, she enjoys traveling, hiking, and scuba diving. Please help me welcome Eva Fulton.
Interview of the week sponsored by LTD Tactical.
Eva, what's up? Welcome to the Motivated Mindset. I'm so excited. I just had to let all that out. Welcome.
Jose!
Thank you so much for being here. Oh my goodness. But you have an amazing background, and I wish we had hours to talk about. But let's talk with the basic. Where you're from. Talk to me like I think it was Texas. So please tell the audience a little about you, ma'am.
Yeah, born and raised in Texas, and didn't know what all was going to be out there in the world until I joined the Army, and that's kind of a whole little funny story in and of itself. But I think since I graduated in '86, that's telling my age, but I've become a international traveler and getting some use out of my passport the past few years. So
wow. So with all that being said, what was the trigger? What made you join the Army of all branches?
Well, that's the funny thing. So
Okay.
I was in the middle of finals in college, in junior college. This was like my third or fourth semester, and, struggling. I was working full time, going to school full time, and realizing I needed some extra income to pay for going to college. And,
Yes.
and I showed up at the recruiters. Isn't there a way? I asked them this question. They kind of looked at me funny. Isn't there a way I can join the Army and not do that basic thing? They laughed at me. And then when I told Mom, she was like, couldn't you have gone in the Air Force? And she goes, the smarter people are in the Air Force. And I was like, well, I'm pretty smart, Mom. I think I'll do pretty good in the Army, and I'll make rank pretty fast. So
there you go. We're good. We're back on. Okay.
Yeah. So I made E6 in 6 years. I beat Mom.
Wow. That is amazing. That is amazing. Wow. And where did you go to basic again?
Fort McClellan, Alabama. Fort Chemicals.
Yes. No, absolutely. And when I read your bio, one of the things that you had was the book about From Pain to Purpose.
So that's my documentary, From Pain to Purpose, my her second service story.
Mm-hmm. And what is that about in a nutshell? Like, if you could just give us.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, it really is. It highlights my story and my co-star Julie, and what our trials were with some of that transition. Some of it was mixed in with some things that happened to us before or during or after the military. So when I say the transition, transition to civilian life, and, maybe not having all of the tools we needed to understand the difference between the military culture and the civilian culture side of things.
Yes. And that is terrifying for all of us who serve. It's like, man, what skill sets do I have? No, that is that is something that we all go through. But you was able to able to put that in writing so people can see it. And how has that been going? Have people, have you gotten comments? People have come back to you and.
So it's, I have the trailer out there on my YouTube channel. I don't have the full video out on. It's a short documentary of about 35 minutes.
Okay.
And because it still has been making some of the round on the film festival market. So I still have a couple of more film festivals for it to finish through before I, host a, big release event and kind of, really maybe start traveling across the country and, showing it and having some conversations about, it's not just a transition, but it's how women veteran homelessness is impacted and, what can we do to help prevent it? A lot of some of the resources that I've experienced is that the community has those resources available, but they're way more prevalent for men than they are for women. Because typically we as women, we have children in tow. And so we have different decisions to make than what the guys do when they're homeless. And, some of those shelters are more adaptable to housing them than they are with children.
Yeah, and especially where we work at, I know there's a lot of, that's one of the initiative is to help homeless. But you're absolutely correct. When I hear about homeless, it's always on the male side. You don't hear too much about the women that are homeless, and I know this may be part of it, but I mean, it's almost like that invisible, like with, for example, sexual trauma was one thing I remember reading, which is it almost like it was covered up, like nobody talks about it. It's coming out now. Is that what you're hearing?
It's coming out now. It's a little bit more prevalent, and that's even it's interesting watching some of the people who are getting out of the military now, who are using their social media platforms to have some of those discussions. Where, when I was in I was in JAG, right? I worked in the criminal law side of things. And I think a lot of those instances or events were not talked about very much. If they were, then let's say it was a, general, they would have gotten a letter of reprimand and asked to retire and wouldn't do the time. Versus you've got somebody who's a junior NCO and somebody's trying to, set some, command discipline in and make a mark for themselves, then they're going to, ensure that somebody gets prosecuted to the fullest extent. So I don't know, from my experience, that there was not consistency across the board from A to Z on how some of those cases were handled. So, I mean, that was even that as a reflection of, you remember the war trophies that congressional hearings after Desert Storm?
Yes.
I was one of the people that put together how the response from the base where I was stationed, the fort, and there were inconsistencies up the ranks on how people were treated with, war trophies. So, it's manual for court martial for some, not for all.
Yes. And I served in Desert Storm, and I remember people were putting stuff in the tires, weapons, and all types of stuff. And depending on your rank, kind of determine what your punishment will be, which was not right. You're absolutely correct. It was not right. The higher the rank, they would just almost like sweep it under the rug and so on. Same thing when we talk about awards, you could have been a great, or you can get an AAM, because you don't have a rank. I mean, so it's the same thing. But I know when I go to the VA, I'm starting to see more posters and sexual trauma and stuff like that. But you're right. When I first got out, you never heard about that. We had Sharp, right? They started this program Sharp, but it was almost like a check the box.
Yeah, I have a friend who she was on that side of things and trying to teach some alternative from the Sharp, and she met some resistance because they knew that when she was coming to talk to the troops that they weren't, she was trying to talk real, don't, ladies, soldiers, don't put yourself in those situations. Don't allow yourself to be the victim. If you don't want to be the victim, then don't put yourself out there in a certain way. But there's also the flip side of that is, guys, you need to act like gentlemen, and these are your buddies, right? This is not like, this is not the stuff in the barracks. It's, there is a certain culture there, and it's not like you're in the dorms in college, and there is supposed to be a decorum of respect, and that these are people that you're serving with, and we're supposed to be protecting each other, not taking advantage of each other.
Right, because it shouldn't matter. It's almost like you place the blame on the victim. We should not warn that. You should wait a minute. That has nothing to do with anything. I shouldn't, as a man. That's she's wearing that skirt, so it's really her fault that I'm going to do something to her.
Well, you're right, Jose, because that's kind of something that I talked about in my movie, in the documentary, that there was something that happened to me before I went to basic training, actually about 2 weeks before.
Wow.
And I knew where my life was going, and I did sit-ups to the stars to get over it, in basic training. But I knew back then the way the culture was, and it was still probably to an extent, the same today, that the blame is put onto the victim, that you put yourself out there and you invited that, and that's not the case. It's people
Right.
learning how to take care of themselves, and people being respectful of others. There is a morality. We have a problem with, I think, morality.
Yes. You're absolutely correct. We got some comments. We're going to take a station break, and we're going to answer some of the comments, some of the questions that have been put in the comments. So at this time, we're going to take a station break, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
It's the guts and it's the glory. 100 stripes, 100 stories. It's the Pledge of Allegiance on the 4th of July. It's them handwritten letters from home. It's them sleepless nights alone. It's his newborn baby he left with his wife. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, here's the line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Hey. From the fields of Indiana to the swamps of Louisiana to the golden coast of California, Uncle Sam's the only family he's got. His purple heartbeat won't stop, and his 18th birthday was the day he was born. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, here's the line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, stand on the front line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, pay the ultimate price. Oh. He was the man of the house when he was born. His family is proud but torn. But if you knew him, you would understand. He was raised on how to be brave, just to see the flag still wave. And then he came home with only one hand. 'Cause Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, here's the line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, stand on these front lines. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, he'll pay the ultimate price. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down his life. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. March in line, march in line. Hey. Hey.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Hey, welcome back to MBR, the station that gives veterans a voice. Let me tell you, that song always gets me right here. That is stupendous. But Eva, there's some questions. First of all, Terry, thank you for being here. Mr. Torres, and MJ Gonzalez. And Gonzalez said there are more PTSD women due to rape, not wartime, than you might imagine. Exactly, women. What's your part? Not saying what happened was right, you know. And she also said, sadly, victimizing happens when we can't get a balance apart, you know. Anything you want to say to me, you know, anything, Eva, that, you know, based on that?
You know, I think that their comments are correct. You know, we have to not put ourselves in a situation where somebody's going to infer that we're open. You know what I mean? You know, I don't know. I haven't really had anybody ask me that before. So, you know, it's kind of, you have to be, you know, cognizant of the situation, have a buddy with you. I think that's where my mistake was thinking that, you know, somebody was trying to be nice and escort me back to my room, and only to realize that he had ulterior motives. And, you know, that's the hard part, is I can't then blame myself for that, right? Because I didn't know what he was going to do. And, you know, that's just, know who you're with and don't assume that everybody has good intentions. But, you know, I think guys need to be understanding in the military culture that more people are going to be watching out for them. You know, that there are probably way more circumstances of grooming than what we recognize. I look back on my career and think that I see a couple of instances where I probably was groomed, but it was not overt. It was just incremental changes, and I wasn't aware of that methodology. You know, that's how they do it. And then, you know, especially because I was freshly divorced at the time, so they know how to take advantage of you. And you know, you're going through this tough time in life, and somebody, you know, somebody takes advantage of you, and what do you do then? You know, you don't know who your resources are to ask, how do I handle something like this? And then somebody say, oh, you know, they're dismissive and just, you know, ignore you and pretend like it goes away. So I think that's where a lot of the victimizing stuff comes around, because then they think that, oh, they had a mental problem and it was, you know, that they invited it and it wasn't ever the guy's fault. But the civilian life is really kind of a lot like that too, that and it's the woman is supposed to, you know, own, you know, 75% of it, and the guys don't really understand that you're half the problem. Where are the days of, you know, people being respectful of other people, and you know, and go to, if you've got to do something, go to your room by yourself and go do that. Don't take action on somebody else unwillingly. So
and then you got that power struggle. You know, you got somebody who's an NCO in office and position of authority, and you find, well, if I do this, if I don't do this, that pro quo, quid pro quo, that happened a lot. And I experienced, I remember our cadences when I first came in were very sexist. It was like, what? You know, it's almost like they encourage that, you know, without encouraging it straightforward. You know, it was something else. And we have another question from Tracer Round Podcast. And she has a comment. She said, I think progress at times, I think things progress at times faster than a person anticipates, and then they are put in a position they never intended to being. I think you talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's interesting to see, you know, Jose, you and I we've been out for a while now,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And I think it's interesting how much things have changed with the, you know, hairstyles and, you know, nails that, you know, I look much different. Look at
right.
much different with my hair all up, right? And no makeup on than I do if I'm, you know, wearing it down in a ponytail or whatever and got makeup. And I mean, I get to the, you know, I get it that I struggled when I got out of the military, how to look like a woman, not just being a female, but how to look like a woman. I struggled with that because, you know, all of my choices of clothes to wear was summer or winter BDUs.
right.
I didn't have to, you know, I didn't have to worry about going to, you know, Macy's or Marshalls and figuring out what do I buy, what do I wear, you know, I didn't learn that stuff. And I had some very good people when I got out of the Army that said, we're going to dress you up, Eva, and show you, you know, how to wear some makeup. And, you know, they did my hair up, and it was, you know, it was kind of huge for me at the time. I didn't realize it at what they were doing at the time, but they were trying to integrate me back into civilian life, and I didn't have to look so soldierly all the time.
Yes. Yeah. No, you're absolutely correct. Thank goodness I have friends that had gotten out that were retirees or got out, and they kind of helped me. But even then, I still had to go through a lot of changes in my mind. It's like, oh, okay, you know, and you're absolutely correct. But you know, it is changing. We got women in Ranger battalions taking Ranger training. Who would have thought? I'm like, wow. You know, that's awesome. I mean, you know,
it's awesome. I remember the day when, you know, I wanted to be just like G.I. Jane, you know, that was the thing I could have imagined, but that, you know, I'm going to kind of change horses on you for a little bit, because that was a time when, at the time that came out, my life kind of changed, because I came back from war only to end up being in a really bad auto accident. I think I sent you the picture on that. I was in a car accident that changed the course of my life physically, and I had an MP teed my car on my birthday. She was driving 45 to 65 miles an hour. I was the driver of this Saturn, and it was only, you know, a month and a half old, because we had just gotten it in December. We flew back from Germany. I was a newlywed from Desert Storm, and this happened March 20th, 1992, on my birthday.
Wow.
So I had three pelvic fractures, 2 knee fractures, 2 ankle fractures. It messed up my back. I've since had Me Too. She was bad to the bone. I'm not sure what that context was. But thanks, Tracer. So it messed up my back. I ended up getting out on a medical discharge in 2000. So, you know, and then I broke my back twice in 2021. Oh, yes, G.I. Jane.
G.I. Jane.
So, you know, I know your podcast is about the motivated mindset. That, you know, my picture here is, you know, a hiking scene, and that's been one of the things that I've been physically getting back out there. There you go. That was at Green Rock last week. And
where's that at? Where?
Raven Rock here in Maryland.
Maryland. Okay.
It's right there on the Appalachian Trail.
Uh-huh.
So I definitely use my poles. I'm a slow turtle hiker, you know, but I enjoy getting out there, and you know, not all trails are smooth. That right there looks good.
Yeah.
Some of them are very rocky. Some of them are, you know, crossing creeks, and you gotta
Like
get that. I did that last weekend. That is going up to a place called High Rock.
Okay.
And you know, somebody forgot to order the rocks at a height level for a short 5 foot to climb up, because those are some very tall steps for me.
Oh my goodness! And
but
so, real quick,
I get out there.
What was that pack that you're carrying?
It's way too heavy. It's 30 pounds without the water. Yeah, so I had to get some help out. I was not feeling good Monday. It was I was planning on doing just an 18-mile hike for 3 days, you know, slow. But I had to get some help, and they were like, "Oh my God, your pack is way too heavy. You gotta, you know." So I'm still doing the shakedown hikes, trying to get rid of extra stuff that I don't need.
Eva, this is one of my favorite pictures.
Yeah.
Because it has an Army cup on there. I remember those cups.
My canteen cup, yes.
Canteen cup, yes.
Very
my
handy.
Goodness.
But they're loud. They take up a lot of space.
Yeah. and tell me about that picture right there, ma'am. What is
that's at Raven Rock shelter. And I didn't send you a picture of it, but there's a shelter there at Raven Rock. And it's a very, you know, and when you come down High Rock down to the Raven Rock area, you know, it's nice having a bench where you can put your pack down. There's a place to get the fire going, and people start accumulating in the evening after they've, you know, done whatever walks. And you know, the camaraderie to get out there and do that is just so calming. And, you know, so it may have only been 4 miles.
Yeah.
But to get there and the green sound, I didn't realize that was actually a thing. Have you looked up green sound?
No.
Okay. So you need to Google green sound. And it's the sound the trees are making.
Wow.
Yeah.
I always hear about that noise, you know, like only on TV, certain noise you can go to sleep. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to go on another break. And when we come back, I really want to get into my people's garden.
Welcome to my people's garden.
Welcome to my people's garden. I don't know why I think of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I don't know why that came to mind, but I really want to get into this. So at this point, team, let's go for a station identification break. Thank you.
Well, he spent 22 years in the army. We talked Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie. And what I learned from him's worth more than anything anyone's bought me. That camo jacket with our last name, still in my closet to this day. There ain't enough money in the world you can give me to throw it away. 'Cause I hold on to pictures and memories in that shadow box with everything still in it. Whenever he talked, I listened. So fly that flag in your front yard as high as you can, except for when we lose one defending the land of the free. We're in the home of the brave. And pour one out for the ones who never made it home. Say a prayer for their mama as if she was your own. I can't wait to tell my boys about the wars we won. Yeah, I'm proud
proud to be a soldier, son. And those cassette tapes he mailed home, I'd rewind them all night long. 'Cause when I closed my eyes, it felt like he wasn't gone. And Mama did the best she could, raising 3 kids while he stood on the front lines from dawn to dusk in a gun-smoke skyline. So fly that flag in your front yard as high as you can, except for when we lose one, defending the land of the free. We're in the home of the brave. And pour one out for the ones who never made it home. Say a prayer for them mama as if she was your own. I can't wait to tell my boys about the wars we won. Yeah, I'm proud to be a soldier, son. Yeah, I'm proud to be a soldier, son. So I hold on to pictures and memories in that shadow box with everything still in it. Whenever he talked, I listened. And he said to fly that flag in your front yard as high as you can, except for when we lose one, defending the land of the free. Boy, you're in the home of the brave. So to this day, I pour one out for the ones who never made it home. Say a prayer for their mama as if she was my own. I can't wait to tell my boys about the wars we won. No, I can't wait to tell my boys about the wars we won. Yeah, I'm proud to be a soldier's son.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Welcome back to MBR, the station that gives veteranos a little diversity, Spanish up in there, a voice. Hey, Eva, I did look it up, the green sound. Wow, there is so much about that. It's like, who knew? Who knew?
Who knew? Who knew?
Like, what? That's crazy. We wanted to talk about Welcome to My People's Garden. What is that all about, ma'am?
Well, that was probably a big chunk of my catharsis, in writing. It took me 10 years to write the book. Obviously much heavier than I am now, but Welcome to My People Garden, there's, everybody says it's networking. I flip that and say it's not networking, it's people gardening. We're people gardening. Mm-hmm. We're people gardening not only with each other, but with all of the people that we're seeing on the comments and the people that are in our lives. But that really, it's a faith-based side that people gardening starts with your relationship with God, so you can have better relationships with other people. Mm-hmm. And, when we can transform, everybody sees your front yard, but only you see your backyard. Right. So the parable of the sower, there are lots of self-help out there, but nobody really teaches you how do you really dig up those, rocks, I call them. I mean, the parable of the sower mentions rocks, but you've got to dig through some things to get to the rocks. When I was writing the book, I had this vine that was growing, those sweet potato vines, and they kind of mind of their own. And this one vine, I thought I had pulled it all out, but it stretched 10 feet long, and it was strangling other plants and, trying to kill them off. And it hit me that these were lies. These are the lies that we believe that other people tell us. And sometimes they're the lies that we tell ourselves that we believe. And we have to get rid of those lies. recognize that the lie is there, right? Recognize that it is a lie, and get rid of those, and really discover what the truth is. Now, in the Marines, you were in the Marines, right? Marines or Army?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, girl, I don't play with crayons.
So, but you've heard the term "wait a minute" vines, right?
No, I was in the Army, man.
Okay, wait a minute vines,
wow.
Right? Wait a minute vines.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
So, so those are the things that catch us, right? That it keeps, those are the barriers, the obstacles that keep us from moving forward. They capture us, and we, they're hard to cut through unless you're like got a machete that you're carrying around. Getting through those, wait a minute vines are very tough to get through. And we've got to be able to clear those things out. And when I was writing my book, I had bought a house in the backyard, had a beautiful pool, but you couldn't see it because it was so overgrown. So the plant, there was a big tree that had to be trimmed down, and I think I ended up cutting it out. And when I started cleaning out the path area, well, as I was shoveling the extra dirt out, I discovered that there was a sidewalk going through there too, but it had been overgrown so much that the path was just very narrow. And, so you have to, then once I got some of that dirt cleared out, I realized underneath the dirt were all of these rocks that had been buried too. Right. And those, it's a kind of a culmination of thing. If you read the parable of the sower, you realize that these are a lot of things that we experience in our lives that we kind of, we keep covering things over and over. But if you're going to grow a good people garden, you've got to retill the dirt. The farmers are always tilling the dirt between the seasons because they got a new crop to plant. And sometimes they let it rest because it has to receive the nutrients have to rebuild, and they have to put some manure on there because it needs more nutrition for the plants to grow. We are a lot like that. Mm-hmm. And if you read the Bible, you'll see all these gardening terms that are built into that. And so that's how I got to, understand that God's really the master gardener. It really helped me understand my experiences and being able to, deal with some of these tragedies that I've, had some obstacles in my life. And I went on that Camino, I was on that podcast with you a few weeks ago with my girlfriends. Yes. I left a couple of rocks on the Camino with a name. I had something written on it that I didn't want to own that anymore. I didn't want to keep carrying that thing with me. Enough. No more of this. I've got to leave it there in the past, and it's not part of my future, and it's not, it's not part of my path now.
Yeah. No, when you was mentioning about the vines, and I equated to sometimes you get people in your life that want to keep you there, don't want you to move forward, get rid of those toxic things that are not letting you move. Like when I joined the military and I left New York City, and it was terrifying when I left, but it was the best decision that I made, because when I go back and see my friends, none of them ever left, but they think they have a quality of life, but they really don't, because they just stay rooted. Did you see what I did, girl?
They don't know what they don't know, though.
Right. No, but they don't know. But being, and I've talked to them, but sometimes people don't want to change. They stay in their comfort zone. I get it. I get it, and that is scary for a lot of people to make that move.
It is, but you brought up something very important about toxic people, and I have a rule of 3 that I go by on toxic people. Mm-hmm. The one that barks the loudest is the one that's the most guilty. they always tell on themselves, and they always make somebody else look bad to make themselves look good.
Mm.
And if they've got at least 2 out of those 3 traits or warning signals, whatever you feel like calling it, if there's 2 out of 3, just know that they're a toxic person. You have to recognize they're like a weed in your garden, and know, tread lightly. Tread lightly with that person.
That is interesting. Yeah.
It doesn't mean that they're not still God's child, right? Because I think we're all God's children, but you learn how to deal with that person in your people garden, and respectfully, they're like maybe a poison ivy or something, where respect that it's in your path, that it's there, but it doesn't mean you have to like interact with it.
Right. No, but that makes perfect sense. No, I can see that makes perfect sense. In knowing how to, when you garden, you got to make sure you wear the proper gear. You got to know that you have the tools so you can move forward, so you can grow. No, I get it. Absolutely. No. And I also see one. Can you? And I'm assuming this is one of the outlets that you do. Can you tell people what that is? What you
Scuba
doing?
diving. Yeah. So a neat story. This was my first scuba outing with an organization. It's for veterans called Deep Sea Valkyries, and I'm sure that the Griswois won't mind me, throwing that out there for them, and maybe you can have them on your show too.
Okay.
So I was on this trip. They, it was down in the Bahamas, so it was on a liveaboard, and it was an incredible event. Obviously, those were sharks back there. Yes, I swim with sharks.
Yeah, I don't know about that, Eva. Yeah, I don't know about that, girl.
Jose, I learned over the last few years, I'm kind of an adrenaline junkie. So I admit it.
Oh my God. I don't know if I can do that with shark. Oh my goodness.
You might be surprised though. So the neat thing though, I was just talking to somebody about this the other day, and if you can get down there during mating season, so I got to swim in the blue hole. Well, the sharks are not worried about us. They are too busy chasing shark tail. So
Eva, after I saw Jaws, I was like, no more. I'm not going to a swimming pool. I don't know what happened with that. But
they don't care about humans during mating season.
So look, we're gonna take another station break, and when we come back, Eva, we're gonna finish up with you and talk about our buddy checks and the People's Garden. So with that being said, we're gonna take a station identification break.
Okie dokie.
Thank you.
Introducing LT Defense Tactical Gear, your ultimate solution for top-notch protection and performance in the field. Our armor bundles provide unmatched safety and comfort, while our battle belts and holsters ensure quick and easy access to your gear. Stay prepared for any situation with our high-quality medical supplies, designed to keep you ready for action at all times. Looking to enhance your skills? Our firearms training programs will take your proficiency to the next level. Trust LT Defense for all your tactical gear needs and gear up for success on the battlefield.
All right. Hey, welcome back to MBR, the station that gives veteranos, look at that, mi gente, my people, a voice. So before we get into the body check, is there anything you want to talk about, Eva, as far as your book or the people that you want them to let them know about your passion?
My passion? Like what, my podcast?
Yeah. Yes, that's it, girl. That's the one.
My new podcast. I just dropped it today.
Yes.
You were like the wind beneath my wings and said, you can do this, Eva. You can do this.
and tell me what's the name of it.
It's called the Mighty People Garden Podcast.
Yay. Where can they watch this at? Where do they go? What's going on?
Well, right now I've dropped it on my Facebook link.
Okay.
So you can find me Eva Fulton or People Garden 1. I'm on Instagram too. So it should pop over to my Instagram, People Garden 1. I'm still working, all the, getting it on the feeds to get it on the podcast channels and Apple and stuff like that. So first one there, I'm excited, obviously. So
I got to hear a little bit of it. I was like, oh my goodness. I said, that's beautiful. I cannot wait. I am so excited that I can't hide it. I got to get my hair done again.
Well, it's been weighing on me for a while. Like Jonah and the whale, just go deliver the message. So, I'm trying to deliver the message.
No, I am most excited, Eva, about that with your podcast. And I know the information. I mean, just the time that I had you here, it's been awesome. It's been really good. And I've learned a lot. And I know our audience got something out of it. And let me see, is there something in the comments? I think somebody got something in there.
They put the name of my
podcast. Okay, good. I want to make sure I know.
Thank you so much.
Yes. And
maybe NPR will catch it, yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're gonna keep in touch. This won't be the last time we have a conversation, And one of the things that we want to talk about is the buddy check, the VA.
Yeah.
And between from September 21st to the 25th, we have a pledge, the VA. That means call 10 buddies. Call people, on the weekends I call people just to do a buddy check, and we got to check on each other because that's so important. We got to tend to our garden.
Yes, we do. You got it. You got it.
Yeah, girl.
And you might be surprised at, just one, just somebody reaching out.
Yes.
It can make all the difference in the world. Just a hello, just checking in on, I don't care if it's just sending a text.
Yes.
Hey, I just want you to know that I'm thinking about you, and I pray that everything is well with you, and I don't care. It could be somebody at 7-Eleven. It could be a coworker. It could be, a sibling, anybody, not just veterans, but anybody. But, we are losing too many. There are some people who are struggling, finances are going, people are having problems with the finances. The cost of things are just too much. And we've got to look in on each other, and just a hello can make all the difference in the world.
Absolutely. And, I have a saying, you never know whose roof is leaking unless you live there. Checking on each other. Just, they may seem, me and you know each other very well. So if you see me that I'm kind of like quiet or something's off, you ask. But I will implore everybody to go on the VA website. You can type in buddy check, and there's resources there about veteran suicide, what you need to do. The help is there. So, knowledge is worthless unless you share it. And we have to share. We have to take care of each other because we've given a lot. We've given a lot as veterans to this country, and it hasn't stopped. Selfless service is one of our values, right?
Well, I'm going to, bring up a thing. When I was at my lowest, getting divorced, I was going through college, and they had a service project that we had to go do. So here I am going out and serving people, and we were making, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches as a part of this other event where we're serving food to homeless people in Dallas. And there was this guy that came up and introduced himself. We chatted while we were eating, and he had a backpack that had a Bible in it. And he said that that's probably about his 10th backpack because he keeps getting his backpack stolen. He goes, you know what? I'm really not worried about it because they're getting a Bible. And if they need that Bible more than the backpack, then I need the backpack, then they can have it. Well, the conversation, kept going on, and I felt like he was actually there serving me.
Yeah.
And I was there serving him. And I just walked away with a whole different kind of framework that, the least place that you could expect it, go and serve, you might put you a different perspective on life. you and I were working towards, raising boots for our stand down in the Washington, D.C. VA.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of boots to collect.
Yes.
But the outpouring of people who want to serve, has been phenomenal. And, great. I welcome that people are serving, but that's not putting boots on the people who need it during the wintertime. So It is kind of that, give and take there. And I don't care where you're at across the country. We have a whole lot of, homeless veterans. And if they're out there, not couch surfing, they're out there, in the woods, maybe they're hiking on the Appalachian Trail or something. Yeah. You need boots, right? Because that's how they're going to keep their feet warm. My uncle, I don't know that I've ever told you, but my uncle was a Vietnam veteran, and he basically froze to death on the streets of Austin. Wow. Yeah. And I think I was the last person to see him. Because I left in November. My friends were saying goodbye to me in October before I went back up to my house before I went to Germany via Saudi, and I'm pretty sure that was him that ran to say hi to me in the alleyway, and I didn't recognize him. Wow. But because he looked so much different than what I had remembered as a young girl. But just know that you don't know who you're helping. You're helping somebody's uncle or aunt or sister or somebody.
Yeah, we all can make a difference, no matter how big or small. We just got to get out there, and
right.
That's it. And even as we wrap this up, I just want to say thank you for being here. I am so looking forward to your podcast and the changes in the people that you will make that you touch, because it's going to be stupendous. I already know.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to see if we have any more comments before we wrap it up. I don't think we saw it anymore. Cool beans. So it's really good. I know for me, it's been enlightening, especially with that shark thing. I don't know about that. That's the only thing that I don't know that I'm gonna get in water with some sharks. Jaws
traumatized me. Come on.
It traumatized me, but no. But I just want to say thank you for being here as our guest and letting people know, the things that you do and what you're doing, and we're looking forward to keeping in touch. Me and you'll be in touch.
Oh, for sure. It's such an honor. Thank you for doing this, Jose. You are a rock star, and keep doing this. You're a good people gardener.
Okay. Green thumb, but it's not really. Back when I had hair, rock star. Anyway, we won't get into that. But with that being said, I don't think we got anything else. I want to say thank you. Thank you to the audience that gave comments, that were here. We really appreciate it. It's been stupendous. And Ava, we will check in. Hopefully by next week we got some more boots. We'll go on Wednesday and see what we got.
Yep, for sure.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We are good to go. Thank you. Stay tuned for next Saturday. I'll be on same bat channel, same bat time. Oh my, did I say that? Anyway, but make sure you tune in for the Motivated Mindset next Saturday, 1800. Wow, 6:00. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us, giving our veterans a voice.